Thank you for joining the Thursday edition of Journalist Hangout. I am Veronica Danny Boy. Today on the program, civil society organizations, former NBA boss, tell Buhari to state his role in Maina affair. Senate probes reinstatement of police officer accused of murder in a post-6 saga. And later on the program, nephew says Kwankwaso told supporters to quit APC. I will be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju, Mujid Jamio, and Emeka Madunago. Gentlemen, thanks for coming on Journalist Hangout.
Good evening. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, Journalist Hangout starts now. Silence is golden, but often interpreted to mean acceptance. Since the controversy surrounding the reinstatement of former Pensions Reform Task Team Chairman Abdul Rashid Maina made headlines, Nigerians have been waiting for plausible explanations of varied allegations. Like a smelling pit draws flies, the Maina saga is fraught with claims and counterclaims, name-calling and finger-pointing. Maina has maintained innocence of all accusations leveled against him. He has insisted he never took a kobo of pensions money, but is owed a large sum by federal authorities. He also said President Muhammadu Buhari asked the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, to have a conversation with him. On Wednesday, civil society organizations and a former president of the Nigeria Bar Association, Olisa Agbakuba, asked Buhari to state his role in the saga. The called for an open investigation, just as Agbakuba noted that Maina's claims had dented the integrity of the anti-corruption war and urged the president to break his silence on the issue. Who is protecting Maina? I'll start with you, Jide. Does it seem like Maina is being protected? Because the saga is looking more like a case of the more you look, the less you see. It seems to be muddled up in different things, counterclaims and all of that, finger-pointing, like we mentioned.
Of course, it's been protected. If it's not been protected, it couldn't have been in Nigeria since April 2016. And he's still here. I'm convinced that he's still in Nigeria. So he's under protection, and the DSS admitted that he asked for protection. And they investigated his claims that some fellows wanted to take his life. They investigated and provided some kind of protection for him. So this government invited him. Forget about what Garba Shehu said the other day. This government brought him to Nigeria. In my view, this government believes that it needs Maina. Maina has helped this government to recover some money. They've not come out to deny it. Maina had a meeting with two cabinet members. And he claimed that the president ordered the meeting. I want to believe that no minister in this administration would want to talk to someone like Maina outside this country and would not notify the president. I have every reason to believe that the president was aware, because if you remember Oyo's statement, she said that she warned the president, about
the appointment. Yeah.
So I want to believe that the president all along was aware of this whole matter. What happened? Maina was aware that the president was in the UAE, accompanied by some of his ministers. He reached out to them that, look, I've been out of the country for so long, I've been treated badly, despite the fact that I helped the country to retrieve 282 billion stolen by pension thieves. I've been sent out of my country. I've won cases in court. I think I deserve to be treated better. And they had that conversation with him, and I believe that at that point, the Attorney General felt that it was right to let him come home and restored to his job. I'm not impressed with the way the Attorney General has tried to
exonerate himself.
It is pointless. If I were in his shoes, based on the facts that he had at that time, that cases were not appealed, he won those cases. Even the Industrial Arbitration Court, he went there to challenge his dismissal. He won the case. So, as an Attorney General, you want court judgments to be respected in our land. You can simply say, based on that, you are advised. But to try to deny, because we all know now that that memo calling for his statement came from the Federal Ministry of Justice.
Perhaps he might be trying to cover up something.
He's trying to say, oh, I didn't sign this. But remember, the Attorney General said some time ago that what he did in national interest. So the question is, what exactly did he do in national interest? If you are trying to make it look like you had no hand in his reinstatement. So what exactly, did you not advise that he be reinstated, restored to his job? If you didn't do it, then who did within the Ministry of Justice? Who was the person that wrote that letter? Oh, you didn't sign. Then who authored the letter? Because one letter got to these fellows, and then that decision was taken. So who did? Because if Malami continues to talk in this manner, it will send a clear message to people that he's not even in control of his ministry. And I'm saying that it's pointless going to this extent, trying to deny that you didn't do this, and then, but you can't deny that you put KIV on a particular memo. You know? Okay. So it's just it's really messy. I'm kind of disappointed. If as a government, if we did something wrong, we should be able to own up to it, to say, look, we did this. We brought him in because we felt it could be useful to us. Not going and trying to deny. Let me
bring Mujit in now. Well, if, like Judy has said, that the president or the presidency is aware of Maina's reinstatement, why then the silence? Questions, Nigerians have been asking questions on the whole issue. And the way things are going, someone has to break that silence, don't you think?
Thank you, Veronica. I think the Maina issue has opened a can of worms on a lot of things. The lack of discipline in our civil service, especially in the federal civil service, and also the continued injury which the inter-departmental rivalry could cause for this government. Today, I want to believe they are still live. The House of Reps committee investigating Maina, it's live on television. It's been on for about 3 hours now. And you could see how a permanent secretary in the Interior Ministry was addressing the head of service. That a permanent secretary will stand up where the head of service was sitting and say that he can ignore any letter from the permanent secretary as long as, from the head of service. And the head of service was sitting right there in this present day civil service. And also that the #1 chief law officer of the Federation could keep quiet, and Daura was the one telling Nigerians that, yes, the #1 law officer, Malami, called him to seek for his advice whether to go and meet Malami somewhere abroad. Maina, somewhere abroad. And I was like, is this a joke or something?
No, they were there.
Yeah, they were there, yes. No, but then, as the #1 law officer, what more, who should you be calling on? I mean, you have a series of lawyers at your disposal. Why call on SSS DG? And it shows clearly that there's a synergy between some of these agencies, because at the end of the day, Malami had to call, I mean, well, according to Daura, he said Malami went to that meeting with the National Security Advisor to meet with Maina. Whatever they discussed, but then he came back home and he denied authoring the letter that went to the Federal Civil Service Commission to reinstate Maina, where he said he put KIV on those letters. But when they asked them pointedly, there were 3 letters. you KIV'd one. The other two, you agreed that you signed one, but the other two, you said you didn't author them, but then you still put KIV. And there was a reference to those 2 other letters. And you are still saying you KIV'd them. And the Federal Civil Service Commission, I mean, we are made to understand today that is the agency responsible for appointment, promotion, and discipline in the service, which we all know. Of course, I've worked in a political environment before, so I understand that. Now, I think what they tried to do was to get the office of the head of service to reinstate Maina, and the head of service, very clever woman, very smart woman. Raised an eyebrow. Yeah, and said, no, she even cautioned them against such thing, that it is antithetical. It's unheard of. It's anti-procedural in the civil service, like reversing the hand of the clock. Somebody was fired in 2013, and you are bringing up a case in 2016 or 2017, and the matter has been going back and forth. So what is in this Maina that, is he the only person that can recoup stolen money in the country? And what of the assets that has been traced to him too? Fine, he might have gotten his funds from some other sources, but then as a civil servant, I mean, you signed to an oath. I mean, you cannot do any other business apart from farming. So you should tell us whether it was from farming that he got the £6 million that they said he has in the UK, or the $2 million we used to buy a property in Abuja. So those are issues. So Maina too, it might be able to recover, because from the video he just released, he said he could recover 3 trillion in 3 months. I think that was the bait he sold to the president in the first instance. He just wanted to get an inroad back into the system. So, and Daura was saying it today, the DJ was that he knows he has 2 passports, so he's not been using his Nigerian passport. So it's like it shows a lot of inconsistency in our administration and in our governance procedures. It calls for a lot of questions, and I think Malami honestly fell short of being the Attorney General on this country today. From what he did.
He did. All right, Emeka. Now, what are your views on the calls for the presidency, or the president stating his role in all of this? Will it change anything?
Yeah, the buck stops at the president's tip. He's the number one Nigerian. He is the president of the nation. So when there's a major controversy like this that has to do with the cardinal program of his administration, which is the fight against corruption, he needs to weigh in and tell the nation whether he authorized the recall of Maina. The president, in fairness to him, may have had a noble intention in approving. Let us say the president approved the recall and restatement of Maina. He may have had a noble intention in doing that, you know, just like MJ said that.
But he fired him eventually. Could it be that he was misinformed at some way?
Well, he is the president. He is at the top of a mountain. He's sitting at the top of a mountain. And he may not be fully seized of all the facts of the matter. He acts based on advice. Sometimes the advice could be wrong, could be false, or could be deliberately twisted to achieve a purpose. Of course, you've seen that in different instances, you know, all over the world, not just in Nigeria, you know. So what I believe is this, like my colleagues have said, the president at this time needs to speak up, because different parties to this matter have said their own. Some trying to wash their hands off like Pontius Pilate, some trying to give different versions. But the basic thing is this. All right. Like Chief Olisa Agbakoba and the CSO said, they are not now trying to say that they want to bring the president down from Mount Olympus to come to the floor, to the valley. Right. But for the fact that this has to do with the cardinal program of his administration, then he just needs to speak up.
All right, we need to quickly take this break and return to talk more on this topic. Stay with us. You're still watching Journalists Hangout, and we are still looking at the MainaGate or saga, as some people have termed it. But I come to you now, Jide. Some, before we went on break, Emeka was talking about the fact that the former NBA boss is talking about the need for the presidency to speak up. And they also went ahead to say that this has dented the president's image. How so?
Well, I do not believe it has dented his image. What is particularly troubling to me is why the Attorney General has to put on the kind of performance that they put up today. I think that he was not confident enough. He didn't dignify that position that he occupies. If you made a mistake in the course of doing your job, you can own up to it. It's not the end of the world. But if you saw the testimony that the Attorney General gave before the lawmakers last week, was he even said that Maina was part of the pension syndicate. A man who seized 222 houses from pension thieves, a man who recovered 282 billion in just about 9 months, and 78 billion out of that was put into the 2011 budget. And that same man is part of the syndicate. So you are catching thieves, and you are part of those thieves. I understand where he's coming from. He thinks that at the end of the day, if they eventually are able to prove that Maina himself is a rogue, he will have, his position will have been terribly weakened. Because meeting with Maina, now many Nigerians see it as something wrong. But the truth is, even if a rogue says he has a story to tell, you still want to listen to that? Because, look, whatever we say about this man, there's nothing against him that has been proven. It's not been taken before any court. It's not been convicted. I've seen people called thieves in this country. I always give the example of the old man, Oronsaye. They claimed before a court that Oronsaye's house is a product of money laundering. Oronsaye went to court and presented documents showing that he applied to Union Homes, mortgage with Union Homes. And he showed documents showing that for 7 years, Union Homes deducted 40% from his salary to pay for that house. At the end of the day, the man was set free. Because it's not enough to just say, oh, this person has stolen the whole world. You must prove. You must prove it. And whether we like it or not, that's the way. The law will not simply give you victory in a court unless you are able to prove. And I've always said that where the white people are different from us is because they are always patient. They won't arrest someone and then start hunting for evidence. No, they will wait. If it's 7 years that it takes, they will wait. But once they take you before a court, you know that you're in trouble. You're in trouble. So that is it. And I've given the example of Diezane. Diezane's passport was taken away from her more than 2.5 years ago by the London Metropolitan Police, but they've not been able to bring her to court. Not because they don't know what they are doing. They are still working. By the time they are ready to bring that woman before a judge, she knows that it's a vice-like grip that they have on her. She cannot escape. It happened with Buhari. So that is the thing. For me, the fact that I've seen, look, someone like the former Minister of Works, Hassan Lawal, they found 900 million in her account, in his account. And the FCC claimed that it's a product of money laundering. Then the judge said, you must prove. You can't arrest people on suspicion. You can't take people to court on suspicion. So what I'm saying is, I don't know whether Maina has stolen the whole world. But the point that I'm making is, as we speak today, he has not been convicted by any court. So I'm very, very careful about what I say about this man. Based on experience, I've seen dozens of people proclaimed to be thieves in our country. people like Dimeji Bankole and the rest of them, and they were set free. Even the EFCC in some cases, the case will be so bad for the EFCC that they won't even be able to appeal. So I think that the Attorney General should have just stated the case the way it was. No need to fidget, no need to be afraid. Be consistent in your position. You said what you did in national interest. So if you decided that Maina should come back to Nigeria and help us in recovering stolen funds, you did it in national interest, not bearing in mind that he too could be a thief. Admit to that. Let us, whatever happens after that, you own up to that. This is the reason, based on the fact that you had at that time. This was why you took that decision.
All right.
And already you have said it that some court cases, he appealed, he got judgment in court that were never appealed. Shouldn't that be enough for you to say, this is the reason why I did it? Why try to deny? Why try to, I mean, it's embarrassing.
Really embarrassing.
It's made the matter so complicated. And when you see, I was watching the dysfunctional nature of the people who work with the president was on show today. There is no unity among the agencies. Yeah. You see them, when they say something that appears to embarrass the Attorney General, you see Magu smiling where he is. Yes, I challenge Nigerians to go back and watch. Yeah. When they say something, when the DSS director says something that the lawmakers say, no, you can't do this, I try to see how some of the people, you see some people too. I mean, we can't run a government like this. They must come together, they must work. If they can't work together, I've told the president that if these people can't work together, let them go. We will find other Nigerians who can work for their country. But to go to that kind of place and put your dirty laundry out there for everyone to see, no, I mean, it's embarrassing. It's a bad day for me. It's a bad day.
You're right.
All right, Machid, I bring you in now. Before we came on, you were talking about the number of controversies this is generating among Nigerians. People are talking about the controversies and all of that. But then my question is, how much impact is this having on the change mantra this administration came in with? Well,
the change mantra basically, I think we should zero down to the anti-corruption drive now, which actually, like Jide said, what was on display today was, I mean, very terrible for this government. And with a system like that, that rivalry, amongst the agencies, especially the security agencies, I mean, was uncalled for. There is no way a country can move forward with that kind of stuff. You can see the EFCC running after Maina. The DSS was protecting Maina. I mean, it was there. The EFCC wanted to arrest Maina. And
okay, if we could just hold the thought, we have Isaac calling from Chicago. Are you there? Go ahead with your contribution. Isaac?
Yes, I'm still here.
All right, go ahead.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. Yeah, please, I'm calling for the first time, yeah. I want to say a big thank you to the discussant, and I believe so much that the president must speak up, because this case of Maina and some other cases in Nigeria is putting a big dent on the president's image, because for Maina to have brought back to the country, I believe the president and the Attorney General must know something about it. And people have been calling for the president to speak up. I believe this is high time for the president to speak up on this issue and put the matter to rest once and for all.
All right. Thank you, Isaac.
So like I was saying, not like this gentleman just said, I think the president must make a statement on this one. We need a clear statement. How can the DSS said Maina wrote to them seeking clarification, seeking protection because of a threat to his property, then they have to look at that. Because of that, DSS is giving him security, protection. EFCC is running after him. They put him on watch list. EFCC is saying he's on watch list on Interpol. DSS is saying no, it's not on watch list.
When did he get back on the Interpol? You see, there's a lot of misinformation going on. Immediately he won that case, Interpol took him out of the wanted list. Nigerians need to be told the truth. But the moment that story broke that this guy is in the country, he had been in the country since April last year. People didn't know.
Looking for him?
No, it's when the moment it happened. This is the same EFCC that didn't appeal the judgment that he got against them. So the moment now that this thing came into the open, they too began to say, oh, we are looking for him. But go and read. The Interpol claimed immediately after this happened that he was no longer on their list. Because based on that judgment, they took him off. So because the warrant was set aside. I mean, we are not in an obedient state of nature. Where law works, judgments will be respected. You understand the point that I'm making?
Yes.
It was no, as at the time he came into this country, he was no longer a wanted man by law. He was no longer a wanted man by law. So it's there, those judgments are there.
Yeah, I think
but you can change your mind later and say, okay, we still want him.
No, it's the same point we are saying, that because of the rivalry amongst these agencies. DSS, I mean, because before the man can come up to write the DSS and say his life is under threat, and the EFCC is pursuing him, I mean, then there's this issue of whether he's been restated. I mean, there's a problem between, there should be synergy also between the office of the head of service of the Federation and that of the Federal Civil Service Commission. Because the day-to-day, the administrative runnings of the civil service is that of the head of service, while appointment, promotion, training, discipline is vested on the Federal Civil Service Commission. But the Federal Civil Service Commission is political, while head of service office is purely administrative and executive in nature. The permanent secretary, for example, is the chief executive officer of a ministry. While, you see, so there should be synergy. And that's why any letter emanating from the Federal Civil Service Commission must run concurrent with that of the head of service. And that's why the permanent secretary was in a fix. But then because of his being political in nature, that's why he could be addressing his head of service like that today in an open forum, which is, I mean, I think it should be disciplined. Yeah,
because he knows that nothing will happen.
For that misdemeanor to the head of service today.
We need to quickly take another break and be back. Stay with us. All right, quickly before we round up, Emeka, this has brought up the question of how much control does the president have over, over his cabinet and, those working with him, and also and those with the way things are going.
Yeah, one thing I say about President Muhammadu Buhari's style is I believe you've been appointed to a position. You should bring to bear your expertise, your background, pedigree, and you should be responsible enough to carry out the mandate of that office, in the best interest of Nigerians. It looks like a president who doesn't like to micromanage his administration, breathing down the necks of his appointees. Unfortunately, some of these appointees, I won't say many, some of these appointees have shown that they are more interested in the politics of the office than the administrative competence they are supposed to bring to bear. And that's why this administration has been under a lot of attack in different areas. You find incompetence, you find negligence, you find people just not wanting to do what they're supposed to do, and everything goes to the president.
How long can we continue like this?
Yeah, it's left for the president, like Jide said. He should, if there are those who feel they came there, that there is a beauty contest, about who is more beautiful than or who is more influential. The popularity contest, I think he should shove them aside. Maybe take them to some other responsibilities, because...
You think that there will be decisive decisions
because there is
after this?
We cannot afford, we keep wasting a lot of time on minute things in this country, and it's not helping our country.
The Attorney General should understand that he has a dual role, that of prosecution and advisory.
All right, quickly, we have Adewale calling on the line. Adewale, are you there?
Good afternoon.
All right, good afternoon. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. I just want to make a point known. I think I quite understand where we are coming from. But the point I want to make everybody know, especially the gentleman in the middle there, Mr. Majid, if I'm right, is that you make it look as if the GSS or whichever of the security agency did wrong by even inviting him over. What about if the man had been killed earlier on? That is, I'm talking about Maina now. If he has been killed, the way he claimed he was attacked while coming from the airport one day, and his vehicle was rigged with bullets and co. That means the pension thieves who have just had their way. So there's nothing wrong. Just like what you said. Fine. Let the experience speak up. That's what everybody's doing. And this is why I miss Chief and fire me. Let the president speak up and tell us what really happened so that we know where to go with all this thing. And the man, as far as I'm concerned, the man has not been convicted of everything. So we should stop this blame game and don't know anything about it and all this kind of stuff. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adewale, for your contribution.
During the meeting that, during the closed-door hearing of the Senate on this matter, they asked the Attorney General if he told the President. He said he was not going to answer that question. So, but I'm convinced that the President was aware of this. Maina has helped them to recover some money.
Let them come out.
See, there was a time that the Minister of Finance made a declaration about some ghost workers that they've discovered in the system.
Yes, the IPP.
There are about 73,000 ghost workers. I don't want to say so much, but I know that Maina has helped this administration recover some money. They can't deny it. The President is aware of that. And even if he is a rogue, it turns out to be a rogue that many people say he is in the end. The need, because this administration is desperate to find money to execute its programs, they must have seen in him someone who can help them. I mean, we are talking about the fact that we want to sell National Theatre and other, just to finance our budget.
But the EFCC have been doing that as well.
Recovering what?
Recovering looted funds.
Not at the scale that we are talking about. Someone recovered 282 billion. Which EFCC has ever recovered that kind of money in this country? 282 billion is a lot of money.
Yeah.
So it takes expertise, it takes knowledge. I mean, to know where those monies are hidden. What he did at that time was unprecedented in our history. The kind of recoveries that were made. We never knew that for years. In fact, in the police pension office, 300 million was being stolen every day. It wasn't that I was told. I saw documents. I went to Abuja. 300 million every day. And they were moving the money from account to account. Junior officers,
issuing
junior
like
officers.
400 checks every day.
Junior officers, in some cases, maybe you are a level 6 officer, they will put some money in your account because they needed to cover their tracks. They will just put some money in the account. They were moving the money. At the end of the day, they will just give you a little token. That's what they were doing at that time. So, and to that extent, the president of that time, Jonathan, saw this man as very useful, and he decided that whatever he needed, he provided them because he was helping them to find money to even fund their budget. You know, that was what was happening at that time. And when I heard what the former Senate president said, that he became so full of himself just because the president gave him a bulletproof vehicle. He was going to be killed, and the president gave him that bulletproof vehicle. And that bulletproof vehicle was shot at. But you see, all this is pointless now. All I want is let Maina, because he has said that if they will provide him security, he will come out in the open and say a lot of these things. So if we are saying that he has stolen so much money, both of you will see eye to eye, and you will show to Nigerians how he stole the money. But I remember one of the reasons why I want this matter investigated thoroughly before Nigerians jump to conclusion that someone is a thief is because former Minister of Finance, Okonjo-Iweala, went before the Senate and said that it was impossible for him to take money out of the pension system because he was not signatory to any account. So for me, that was instructive. They are saying you stole billions. How did you do it? So the people saying it must prove logically how those billions were stolen. It's not on the newspaper pages that we are going to prove that. It has to be either in form of a public inquiry, the kind of public inquiry that Obasanjo instituted over the Aposis, or we go to a court of law.
We have a caller on the line. Monday from Lagos, are you there? Bobby from Lagos, are you there?
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
All right, go ahead.
Hello?
Go ahead, go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, please.
Good evening.
Good evening, please.
Good evening.
I'm with you. Hello? Can you hear me?
Make your contribution.
Okay. I want to agree with Mr. Jide that Mr. Mena must have is aware of, he knows a lot of things in the system. And as well, the government wants to use him. Now, talking about synergy, I want to, in my opinion, I want to believe that because the synergy that is not there is because if you allow synergy in the system, then you are allowing corruption. Because by the time they agree with themselves, then there will be corruption because of the sheriff that we have today. Again, Mr. Jide, I would like to ask you, I would like to, give you some advice, sort of. I normally follow your theory. And most times, if you talk about states that do not pay salaries and all that, you quickly say Kogi State. And I can't remember the date, but you said there's no project going on in Kogi State. Bro, so I don't think it's true. Sincerely.
So I said...
You guys are really doing a good job there.
Okay.
Thank you.
You didn't hear me correctly. You can go back and watch that edition again. It's on YouTube. I said that the governor had not inaugurated any road project. I said he had not inaugurated any road project, and he went to Anambra to try to demarcate a governor who, unlike him, was paying salaries regularly, who, unlike him, inaugurated 180 projects spread across different communities in the state. That was what I said. I didn't say no road project going on. Of course, there's a road project that even passes through the front of my house. So I know project, but none of those projects has been seen to conclusion. None of them has been inaugurated. That's the point that I made. And I stand to be corrected.
Quickly, we need to move on now because do you have any final takes
go ahead.
on it?
Let's move on.
All right, moving on now. On June the 7th, 2005, 5 young men and a lady left their homes and never returned. That day, the protector turned against the protectee, and today, Nigerians refer to them as the Apo 6 murdered in cold blood by a team of 5 police officers who claimed they were robbers. Following public outrage, then-President Olusegun Obasanjo set up a panel of inquiry which found the police account to be false and recommended that they be tried for murder. After 12 years of trial, an Abuja High Court sentenced 2 of the officers to death, but discharged the team leader, Danjuma Ibrahim, and 2 others, claiming it had no evidence to convict them. Interestingly, Ibrahim has been allegedly reinstated into the police force. On Wednesday, the Senate resolved to investigate this development since the appeal against Ibrahim's acquittal is at a court of appeal. What is happening? Now, the question one wonders today is the fact that there is an appeal. Why the rush to reinstate them?
That's really what bothers me. So many illegalities are happening in the police. People being promoted when they don't deserve to be promoted. So I think that the leadership of the police should sit down and look at all of these things and ask system what really is the best way to respond to all of these occurrences during the time of the current IG, because he has not handled some situations in the right way, and that is why the police gets criticized now and again. In the case of, I believe that this DCP Ibrahim, everyone, all the guys put on trial. said he was the one who told them to open fire on those guys. So, in my view, there could be some truism in what those guys were saying. And if, at the end of the day, the court couldn't find evidence to nail him, because unlike others, he was not at the scene. Unlike the two officers who were sentenced to death, who took two of those guys to the police station and eventually still murdered them. There's a prima facie case against those guys. But in his own case, it's their words against his. So the court would want a cast iron evidence before sentencing someone to death, before even convicting anyone. But I think that since the case is being appealed, it makes no sense to now say this guy should go back to his job and then recommend and then direct that the salaries. I mean, it's like rewarding an officer. That those guys even misbehaved under his watch is enough to cause him to lose his job. Because, look, they always say in the army that there is no bad officer. You only have a bad commander. So your officers are a reflection of the kind of leadership that you demonstrate as the DPO, as the commander of a police unit. So that those guys could behave that badly under his watch. They killed those guys the first day, went back, killed more people, and under his watch, he couldn't stop it. Danjuma does not deserve to stay one extra day in the police. Now, to bring him back, in my view, is wrong. The Nigerian police should stop this kind of aberrant behavior. All right,
Majid, according to reports, the Police Service Commission, the regulatory body, it's actually reinstated him and others. Really, does he really deserve to be reinstated?
Yeah, it's the same thing we are talking about. It's happening at the Federal Civil Service. It's happening at the Police Service Commission. It's happening everywhere. Lack of discipline, or it's like they are throwing discipline to the dogs. We see it on a daily basis, where people now take unilateral decisions. I mean, decisions that are rather questionable. And you want to ask, like Jide said, what is the hurry in restating Deputy Commissioner of Police Ibrahim Danjuma when the matter is still at the appellate court? If you need to, the thing has dragged for 12 years. So maybe in another 2 or 3 years, it will be done with at the Supreme Court. I mean, at most. So if you want to take any decision, then if you have waited for 12 years, then why not wait a little bit more? Since, I mean, the initial judgment had been given. And in any serious society, in any serious security service, the commander is also liable when the officers under you, I mean, run riot, especially when the officers actually give evidence in court that they were acting under the instruction of their boss. Fine.
I was interested in one of that girl.
That is it. So yes. Even if he was not at the scene, but the two of them couldn't have been wrong. You gave them directive to go there, you released the weapons to them, and they came back, reported to you. They even had some of these guys who were still alive, in custody.
They still went ahead and killed them.
And before they were killed, so that they can cover evidence.
And then the girl too was killed.
The girl too was also killed.
Under your watch.
I mean, that alone, I mean, and the kind of controversy that kind of case generated, I mean, it's not something that you now quickly rush and reinstate that kind of officer. What benefit is that to
we have Nigerians, Buka on the line calling from River State. Go ahead with your contribution.
Hello, good evening.
Evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Buka.
Yeah, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
I'm very happy to contribute my own part today in this program.
Good. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, especially Baba today. Hello?
Hello, Buka, thanks.
Yes, you see the problem of Nigerian police force. Most of them, they They just put them just because of the interest of the person they have. Are you getting me?
Yes.
Most of them, they are incompetent to hold the office there. There's a lot of corruption from one office to another. In fact, police force promote people to commit robbery. Because there's no way somebody that's being advocated in the court, then at the end of the day, the person is restricted back to the police work. It's very bad. This is the government that we said is fighting corruption, and there's nothing to show that the government is fighting the corruption. So please, we thank you very much with this program. Let the president know the kind of people he's having in his cabinet. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you, Buka, for your contribution. All right, Emeka, now the question again is that one wonders the kind of justice system, because some have said that looking at what, Jide has said and Majid has said, that the fact that Danjuma was in charge, that is enough rather to have made him culpable of the crime. But then the courts didn't find him culpable of any of that. And so the people are wondering, how possible is that?
I too am wondering how the judge concluded that the two officers that were sentenced to death acted based on instructions from their superiors. And I want to know whether they were ghost superiors or superiors elsewhere, maybe superiors who are on the internet, who were not on ground, who were somewhere in outer space. Because what superiors are you talking about? This is about extrajudicial murder.
No, the judge didn't.
It led.
He didn't agree that the judge convicted them on their own confessional statement. That they shot.
That they shot. Yes, but there was the aspect.
No, but it was. They didn't
act
agree.
alone.
He didn't want to agree with them that it was because someone told them to do it.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine. But that was on the basis of just 2 out of the 6. There was no definite conclusion about how the other 4 died. So these 2 were killed by these 2 police officers. Yes. Then the other 4, did they commit suicide or they just died anyway?
The judge said because they were approaching the checkpoint and then they reversed. When they saw the policemen, they wanted to do it.
And
so that their conduct aroused suspicion that led to fire.
I think the National Judicial Council should investigate the judge and should order the retrial of that case. Because that case took 12 years. This is a very emotional, that judgment was very emotional. It made a lot of people like myself very sad.
In the end.
I was very sad because why would you treat human lives like that?
Yes. Young people.
Why would you claimed that they were armed robbers. Where were the weapons? Who did they fire on? How did you arrive at that conclusion? What I say so is that I, could have been a victim of police shooting at checkpoints twice. Twice. And I told the policeman that this is what I am, a journalist. And if you do anything to me in this country, don't think you will get away with it. It's not going to be like that. I'm not scared. One of them, that was at Beggar some years ago, was drunk.
They're always drunk.
Drunk. And I was wondering what kind of thing
Look at the one who was drunk and they were pouring water on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
On
policeman.
At the checkpoint.
On YouTube. Huh?
You said they reversed.
And if you criticize them now, they will start saying you hate
If they reversed, couldn't you have chased them, stopped them? So what I would just want to say.
Is that even the way policemen open fire on civilians in other countries?
I would like to appeal to the NJC.
Mere suspicion?
The NJC should look into that. The NJC should look into that. Okay, thank God it's at the Court of Appeal. So maybe instead of going for, or maybe I hope the Court of Appeal may also say
do justice
that the matter should be given to another judge for retrial. It should be properly tried and speedily concluded, because running such a case, a straightforward case for 12 good years, come on, what are we talking about? Has human life
and they had evidence provided by the Commission of Inquiry. Yeah. They had enough evidence provided by testimonies of people who faced the Commission of Inquiry. They had enough evidence. I can't explain why that woman was killed, for example.
Yeah.
How do you explain it?
It calls to question the discipline, training, and
sense of responsibility.
And sense of responsibility in the police force. You see, the officers at the officers level, the commissioner of police, the DPO's level, I mean, they are very humane. But when you go down the cadre, they will tell you, oh boy, this place is not jungle. We're in a jungle. Every man on his own.
State of nature.
Yes, that is what they will tell you. You see, I've had calls to visit a police station one day to lodge a complaint, and I was online to a commissioner of police who said I should give the phone to a DPO when I get there. I asked for the DPO was not around. The person I saw on the desk, they talk of commissioner of police, say things we use commissioner of police to harass us. Yeah. Meanwhile, the commissioner of police was on the line.
Now listening.
Because he never believed that I could call a commissioner of police. So as we were talking, the DPO came in and I gave the phone for him, and he was saying, sir, the guy, without even talking to him, was already putting his hand on his head. I'm in trouble today. I said, but I'm not told him, come. Why would you say that? In fact, they had to lock him up.
Indiscipline.
So much indiscipline. At least you would take the phone first and even listen to the person and now deal with me later. If I was lying to you that I was talking to the commissioner of police. So it is all, I mean, it's all over, it's all over the force.
Without belaboring the matter, I think this current IG, the biggest task that he has is sanitizing the police, restoring discipline to the police.
And dignity.
See, the thing is, we will criticize you people, but we mean well for our country. So don't think that we hate you. Stop all that talk that they hate
really
you.
Fantastic.
We mean well.
Job. Many policemen.
Try to sanitize the police. There are people who are unworthy of that uniform that they are wearing. There are people who are worse than armed robbers, who call themselves policemen. We don't want to be... The other day I saw a picture of a DPO who tortured a girl, stripped the girl naked, and tortured the girl with iron, flogged iron. Why? Why is this happening? So it needs to take the matter of discipline very, very seriously, because it's at the root of most of the misbehavior taking place in the police. Once he's able to do that, honestly, history will be very, very good to him. I'm talking about the IG.
Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on the show. Well, that's all on Journalist Hangout. Join us tomorrow for another interesting episode of the program. Watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11. You can also watch Journalist Hangout on other platforms showing on the screen and on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I am Veronica Dan Ikboy. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.